What has been the most badass stuff done by real people in history? Story 1. Ferdinand West was a British pilot in World War I. He was flying a scouting mission when he was attacked by 7 German planes. On the first pass, his leg was blown off by the German planes, but he managed to move the plane so his rear gunner could fire on the German fighters in an attempt to drive them away. Miraculously, they managed to drive off all 7. Ferdinand also managed to land the plane despite rapidly losing blood and insisted that he delivered his reconnaissance report before receiving medical attention. His back gunner had no idea he'd lost his leg until they landed. In the end, Ferdinand won the Victoria Cross for his actions. Story 2. Witold Pilecki's mission at Auschwitz is one of the most extraordinary acts of bravery in World War II history. In 1940, Pilecki, a member of the Polish resistance, volunteered to infiltrate Auschwitz by allowing himself to be captured during a Nazi roundup in Warsaw. Under the alias Tomasz Serafiński, he endured brutal conditions and unimaginable horrors upon his arrival at the camp. Once inside, Pilecki organized a clandestine resistance network called the Union of Military Organization. He meticulously documented the daily atrocities, including the mass executions and the inhumane living conditions. His reports, smuggled out through couriers, were among the first comprehensive accounts of the Holocaust to reach the Western Allies and the Polish government in exile, providing critical intelligence and calling for action. After nearly 3 years of enduring and documenting the camp's horrors, Pilecki realized that an internal uprising was impossible without external support. In April 1943, he orchestrated a daring escape with 2 fellow inmates. Despite the constant threat of capture, he made his way back to Warsaw, where he continued his resistance activities. Pilecki's detailed reports on Auschwitz were instrumental in informing the world about the genocide occurring within its barbed wire fences, making his mission one of the most significant acts of resistance during the war. Story 3. Basically everything Teddy Roosevelt did was awesome. He was a police commissioner, cowboy, assistant secretary of the Navy, governor of New York, vice president, president, and a literal Medal of Honor recipient. He broke monopolies, regulated railroads, and established what is now the FDA. He also literally dug the Panama Canal. He sent the Great White Fleet, arguably establishing the U.S. as a world power, went on an expedition to the Amazon, and went on a surprisingly benevolent expedition to Africa to send animals to the Smithsonian for taxidermy. Many people had never seen lions or other animals native to the region. All this after being diagnosed with asthma as a kid and being told to live an easy life. I have so much respect for Teddy Roosevelt, and he's the person I would want to meet if I could meet anyone in history. He also has one of the saddest stories, as his wife and mother died on the same day. He wrote in his diary, "The light has gone out of my life." Story 4. There was a chef on the Titanic named Charles Juffin. He was the chief baker. He knew that he wouldn't be saved, so had a drink of liquor, helped others off the boat, and then returned to his cabin and drunk more. Having yielded a seat on a lifeboat, he then threw deck chairs and other objects off the boat, in the hopes that they would act as floats for those in the water. One of the last to enter the water, and also, apparently, a competent swimmer, he swam in the water for 2.5 hours. He did find a lifeboat in that time, but it was full. He suffered no serious injuries. I always assumed that the alcohol had something to do with his survival, but as pointed out, it actually makes you lose body heat, vasodilation giving the illusion of warmth, so I guess his survival was up to keeping a cool head.